Hey, Nick Thomas here at the 11th Annual National Cyber Summit in Huntsville, Alabama. I'm sitting here with Mr. Tony Ruchi. He's one of the speakers here. He's a retired counter intel Army specialist, and he is going to talk to us about what he does on a daily. He's got his own consulting firm in Knoxville, Tennessee, with clients in other parts of the nation. And we're also going to talk about some of his things he does with passive network assessments versus penetration testing. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to talk about today to everyone, and so our speakers and our listeners and everyone can understand what you're going to talk about?
Yeah, so the attendees here at a conference like this have a very diverse portfolio, and they also have diverse budgets, and not everybody can necessarily afford a full scope volatile penetration test. And penetration testing, for those who aren't really aware, is evaluating the vulnerabilities to your networks and your corporate infrastructure, and then exploiting those vulnerabilities to breach the perimeter and compromise their integrity of their data. Passive networks assessments do a very similar, operate off a very similar model, but you drive up to the door, you identify that vulnerability, then we'll screenshot that and write that up, and then we'll demonstrate that in a virtual environment if they need it. But a lot of times, a lot of companies don't necessarily have a lot of resiliency and failover built into their network, so if we were to break one of their core servers or shut it down, it takes them offline, and they're losing ROI, and they may or may not
Absolutely.
have those capabilities.
So what you're talking about there is some of the companies that can't afford big penetration tests, they can afford it, but the small ones still have crown jewels they need to take care of. So that's where the passive stuff comes in, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's not for only the small. It just really helps them roll their budget and be able to spend wisely in those. And we prove a lot of value in that. And a lot of companies are doing that. A lot of times CISOs will ask, "Hey, I want you to come in and do a penetration test." It's, you really don't. We can get you a lot of value by not breaking your network. And the reality is, we want to work with IT staffs, not be an adversary for them. We want to be a resource for them.
Because a lot of CEOs that don't have CISOs or CIOs in their executive board, they just hear the hot terms and they, just like you said, "Hey, I want a penetration test." It's like, not really. Let us come in and see what we can do. So that's obviously what you do. So Tony, you're a consultant, so you have a consulting firm that you have clients for. Can you tell us a little bit about the name and what you do?
Yeah, so it's my own consulting firm. It's Antonio Ruchi Consulting, and we provide full scope professional services in the security space. We do incident response, data breach investigations, computer crimes cases, and of course the penetration testing and passive assessment. We also help the senior suite, the senior staff, really build on policies and procedures and education and training. We do security awareness training like a lot of companies do. And we've got a full stable of professionals coming from the intel community out into commercial space, bringing a lot of that same rigor and discipline.
Okay, are you going to talk anything about threat intelligence?
Yeah, so that's a huge piece of it, and that's a lot of the precursor to a lot of our assessments in doing the open source intelligence collection, identifying what vulnerabilities are out there where people are using their corporate accounts and signing up for commercial services, and we see that quite a bit. And those third-party agencies, they get compromised, and then their passwords are dumped in clear text, and we see that almost every single engagement. And then we walk, as we walk in the door for the engagement, we hand them over a list of a couple hundred passwords in clear text, and their jaw hits the table. But it's routine these days, and so it's very important to have some of that discipline of not using the same passwords that you're using for in-house, externally as well.
So if anyone wanted to get in touch with you, do you have a website?
Yeah, well, so you can hit me on my LinkedIn page or my Facebook, but easily Google. I'm on Twitter. Is probably the easiest way to catch me. It's Insider Threats is my Twitter handle.
Oh, wow,
I've had that since 2006.
Oh, wow.
So I've been in this community for about 35 years, so I'm still a rookie in this space, but it's easy to hit me up there. Just pull up a Google real quick.
All right, and Tony, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks.